This is Next Century Studios. You're watching Leading Edge Business with Dan Aiuto.
Welcome to the Leading Edge Business Show. I'm your host, Dan Aiuto, and we are here today with Anthony Francis from Head of Lettuce Social Media Marketing and Management. I would like to talk to you about social media and how it works. Anthony, glad to have you with us today. Anthony, tell us how you came up with the name Head of Lettuce for a social media company.
Thanks. It's interesting because I used to talk to real estate agents, and when I was explaining to real estate agents about the importance of having their photo, all their information on the internet, I would teach them to print out one of their properties of a competitor that had just the single photo, and then print out one of their properties that had 6 photos, extra verbiage, their picture, links to their website. And I would tell them, say, when you go to list a property, just put those down in front of the homeowner and say, how would you like your house marketed? Even a Head of Lettuce could tell the difference between the two. They're going to want the ones with the extra photos. Well, that falls through to social media. Now, even a Head of Lettuce can tell you it's important and you need to be doing it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very, very succinct. But I looked at it like, head of let us do it for you, or let us show you how. And you're very good at it. I know from personal experience, sitting behind the scenes, you helping us with our social media efforts, how good you are at it. What is social media, and why is it important today?
Social media is basically the conversation that is going on online. So, we've all heard of Facebook, people have heard of Twitter, any medium where people can interact with other people and have a conversation. In essence, that's social media. Basically what you would normally do at a mixer, a business mixer, or a party, you're now moving that online. So you're having the conversation. The reason it's important is people are basically talking about your brand. Somebody is saying something fantastic, and if you're not on social media, you just let it go and you didn't seize the opportunity. And at the same time, somebody might be saying that they had a bad experience, they had a misunderstanding, and if you don't respond, you're ignoring it. And if you think about that, if somebody came into your business and said, I had a bad experience, this happened, and nobody in there responded, nobody said anything, how do you think it would make that customer feel? It's the same thing with social media. You need to take part of the conversation.
I love it. I love it when you say the conversation, because a lot of people, they take the social media, and what I see out there is they just blatantly are advertising and marketing products and trying to get you to do this and that, and there is no conversation. It's one-sided. Here again, they're not listening and they're not engaging, and there's no conversation. So where you're at here with this on it is a conversation is right on track. I love it. I love it. How much time should be spent on social media per day?
When you first start out with social media, it takes a little bit more time. Just like any new skill that you're trying to pick up, it's going to take more time, but with practice, it becomes more and more streamlined. Somebody who's been doing social media for a while can get by with less than a half hour a day, because it's a matter of checking to see what conversation's going on in the morning, making a decision whether or not you need to respond to it, doing the same thing again in the afternoon. If you have the proper tools in place, they're going to alert you if there's something that needs to be addressed during the day. So if everything goes good for the day, you don't have to worry about it. If there's a problem, address it when it comes up. But again, for the most part, a half hour is more than enough time.
It's also nice to have you in the background getting pings to be able to alert them to good, bad, ugly. You need to get up on this and respond and get with a conversation. So that's something that you do.
Absolutely. As a company, we offer coaching, and then we have full service solutions. So on the coaching side, we teach people what to do, but at the same time, if you teach somebody, how to go and shoot a gun, and then you send them out the first time on their own, disastrous things could possibly happen. And so as a result, we have a fine way of monitoring and making sure that people aren't being dangerous to their own business. They're not saying something that's going to turn people off. They're not saying something that's going to affect them financially. We correct things as we see them coming out. We don't do it a week later after it's already done all the damage. And so that's a very important part of coaching, is making sure that not only is somebody holding your hands and teaching you the right way to do it, but then they're kind of watching you as you're taking your first few steps, making sure that you don't go and smack your head on the concrete.
All right, so now you're kind of holding their hand, you're watching out for them, you're guiding them, you're listening to the pings and kind of making sure things go right. What social media platforms do you recommend? We have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, MySpace.
Yeah, there's tons, and one of the things that we've learned, there's no perfect fit for everybody. We have a bunch of tools that we're constantly testing. So when it comes to monitoring one Twitter account, TweetDeck is a great tool, Seismic, Hootsuite, they're all great tools. We also have tools for when you're monitoring multiple accounts. We've worked with companies that have 7 or 8 different people within the company tweeting. You're not just monitoring what one person's saying, you're monitoring what everyone in the company is saying. The one company we're working with now has 15 trainers plus the speaker, so we need to make sure what everybody is saying is consistent with the company line, and if they're saying something inconsistent, we need to catch that. So tools like that, they're a little bit more advanced, and we don't recommend those to everybody, but we've got the tools that pick that up also.
Awesome. So what kind of impact can people expect from social media efforts?
The favorite thing everybody talks about is ROI, return on investment. The key thing with social media is you will figure out what it's doing for you if you have a good grasp on your business in the beginning. We worked with a company that did fantastic forecast models. They knew that their forecast models were within 3% of what the production would be. If you're forecasting, you know where your business is supposed to be, you can then take a look at how social media affects that business looking back 1 or 2 months. Once you hit the 3-month mark, you should have some good guidelines, what's going to affect your business, what's going to help you increase. Now you have things that you can tweak. We've learned that Facebook fan pages, about 50% of a Facebook fan page, or 50% of the people that like a Facebook fan page, they actually act on the brand for that fan page. On Twitter, it's in the 60s, it's like 67%. And so the value of that is if you get people on board, get them starting to follow your brand, there's a good chance that they're going to act on your brand. So once we quantify where you are within the initial process, now you can start to speculate. If I've got 1,000 fans, what if I get to 5,000 fans? If I'm a business that's international, what if I've got 20 and I go to 40,000? We can take a look and see how that's going to affect you. Same thing with Twitter.
That's awesome. So you can actually plan your growth based on statistics and not guesswork.
Absolutely. And then we have other tools that help quantify the accounts, because like on Twitter, you could have 100 people following you. Well, if each of those 100 people have only 4 people following them, that's not a very impressive crowd. But if you have 100 people following you and the average person following you has at least 5,000 following them, now you're going to have a lot more impact.
Right, a lot of reach. Yeah. So Facebook ads and sort of the pay-to-play, what's your take on Facebook ads in that space?
You know what, I don't believe in ruling any ad out ever, because ads do generate business. The trick is anything you do, you have to track and quantify. Facebook ads, we've had people with great success for those. The trick is taking a look at the results and making sure that they're working. We had a company that had about 15,000 people act on the ad in 1 month, but of the 15,000 that acted on the ad, only about 10% of them actually followed through. And so there we were looking at a very big problem in conversion, and so it gave us something different to focus on rather than the ad, because buying more ads was just going to, again, draw people in and then send them back out the door. We had to figure out how to convert them.
Right. Now I'm looking at the impact. Of course, we're looking at these things that are all in play, and how do you really measure it? How do you measure these things? I mean, is there some specific measurement tools?
You know what? One of the favorite tools that we like to pick on, but we absolutely love also, it's called Klout. Klout is a measurement of basically your impact with your audience. They take a look at Twitter, they take a look at your Facebook fan pages, and they quantify it and they give you a number. The Klout number is a little obscure because it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what they're doing there, but there's a more important number which I like, which is true reach. True reach talks about how many people are actually paying attention to you. So like my personal true reach is only about 350, 400, but the average person's true reach might be about 40 or 50. My partner, a lot of people know as Miss Destructo, her true reach is over 3,000. So that's somebody that when she says stuff, people pay attention to it. As a result, people just pay her to tweet things. So that's where those numbers come in real handy. Same thing when we look at the Facebook fan pages. Having 50,000 fans is great, But if you take a look at your interaction with the fans and you're seeing that there's very little interaction, or there's very little of them looking at what you're putting up on the fan page, it's the old adage, application or education without application is worse than worthless. Well, having those tools without understanding how to use them, you're just throwing away business.
Right, pay, pray, and spray, so forth. What should people avoid in social media?
There's two big things that I absolutely hate. The one we refer to as Twitter vomit. Twitter vomit is basically when people just keep on pushing message out after message after message. And again, the key thing with social media is it's a conversation. You don't walk into a party and just say, today I took my dog for a walk. Hey, take a look at this newspaper. Hey, this magazine's fantastic. Hey, I'm going sailing later today, and Sunday I'm going out on a and you don't just send that out. You wait to see what people respond. You look to engage them in conversation. And so Twitter vomit is just literally a spewing of tweet after tweet after tweet. Sometimes it's a whole bunch of links. Sometimes it's people trying to artificially inflate their website, in search engine optimization. But it is a turnoff. You're going to get people to stop following you. Only things that are going to follow you then are the bots online. So that's a big one. The other one is people that don't care about anybody else. They're strictly paying attention to what they say, and if you respond to them, they don't even notice it. My favorite, we were just, before we came here, we went for lunch, and we stopped by a restaurant, and all the employees were sitting out in the parking lot, and the door was open. And so needless to say, it kind of turned us off, and we turned around and left, but we didn't leave before we tweeted the brand name and what was going on. And so it's going to be a real interesting thing to see whether or not that brand responds if they have anybody even monitoring it.
Very good point. I think the statistics are that when something is good, you might tell a friend or two, but when something's bad, you're going to tell at least 17 people.
Absolutely.
So this conversation monitoring is very important, and I think it's just critical to pay attention to the conversation and what's going on online and what's going on with you and the brand and the whole atmosphere that surrounds what you're in that space doing, because any number of things can trip you up and make you look really bad.
It's very easy to look bad.
So in this case, how do people qualify someone to find someone like yourself to manage a social media effort?
Good question. I think the key thing when you're interviewing people for social media is ask them why they're qualified. Not that they're just playing in social media, but ask them, what is your background? My background is in organizational innovations. It deals with managing innovation, disruptive innovations. Disruptive innovations are game changers in business. Social media is a game changer in the way businesses are doing advertising and the way they interact with their customers. So you want somebody that's got some education. You also want to make sure that you've got somebody that didn't just start, that doesn't kind of do Twitter, but you need somebody who's immersed in the technology. My partner Amber and I, we spend every day on Twitter, on Facebook, reading, reviewing, researching, trying new products so that we're constantly doing the R&D for companies so they don't have to. If you hire a company like us, you shouldn't have to be concerned of what's the big next change coming out in social media. We should be coming to you and telling you, hey, here's a new tool you need to consider using. Here's something you guys can tie into your campaign you're going to benefit from.
Right on. All right, well, that about wraps it up for today's show. And I want to thank you for being with us. And this is awesome stuff. I'm going to have you back. We're going to review this some more and talk more later.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks for watching Leading Edge Business on NCS. Be sure to follow the website featured for more information. And we'll see you next time on Dan Aiuto's Leading Edge Business. I'm Jerry Johnson.